Nitai. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Gaura Bhaktivedanta ki. Thank you. So Hare Krishna, dear devotees, and thank you all for coming today. What can I say? I feel like some person who is about to build a little shed in front of master builders. So, a bit nervous, but so forgive me all my offenses, and I'm just trying to convey the message of Srimad Bhagavatam to the best of my ability, and I hope it will be inspiring and you will walk away with something that you can use in your spiritual life. So let's start. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 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 So today we are reading the second canto Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 8, verse 8, and before. Okay. So I'm just going to read with a repetition, please. Asidya dudarat padmam, loka samstana lakshanam, yavanayam vaipurusha, iyatavaya vaipritak, tavana saviti prokta, samstavaya vavaniva. Would anybody like to try? Asidya dudarat padmam, loka samstana lakshanam, yavanayam vaipurusha, iyatavaya vaipritak, tavana saviti prokta, samstavaya bhavaniva. Asidya dudarat padmam, loka samstana lakshanam, yavanayam vaipurusha, samstana lakshanam, yavanayam vaipurusha, iyatavaya vaipritak, tavana saviti prokta, samstavaya bhavaniva. Mataji's, please. Asidya dudarat padmam, loka samstana lakshanam, yavanayam vaipurusha, pritak. Tavana saviti prokta. Samstavaya vavaniva. Radha Gokulananda ki jai. Asarat Padmam Loka Samsana Lakshanam Yavanayam Vaipurusha Yatavaya Vaipritak Tavana Saviti Prokta Samstavaya Bhavaniva. Anybody else? Asidyadudarat Padmam Loka Samstana Lakshanam Yavanayam Vaipurusha Yatavaya Vaipritak Tavana Saviti Prokta Samstavaya Bhavaniva. Do repetition, the translation word by word. Asit, as it grew. Yat udarat, from whose abdomen. Padmam, lotus flower. Loka, world. Samstana, situation. Lakshanam, possessed of. Yavan, as it were. Ayam, this. Vai, certainly. Purushaha, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Iyata, measurement. Avayavaihi, by embodiments. Pritak, different. Tavan, so. Asau, that. Iti proktaha, it is so said. Samsta, situation. Avayavavan, embodiment. Eva, like. Translation. If the Supreme Personality of Godhead, from whose abdomen the lotus stem sprouted, is possessed of a gigantic body, according to his own caliber and measurement, then what is the specific difference between the body of the Lord and those of common living entities? Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. One should note how Maharaj Parikshit intelligently put questions before his spiritual master for scientific understanding of the transcendental body of the Lord. It has been described in many places before this that the Lord assumed a gigantic body, like that of Karanodakashayi Vishnu, from whose hair pores innumerable universes have generated. The body of Garbhodakashayi Vishnu is described as sprouting the lotus stem within which all the planets of the universe remain, and at the top of the stem is the lotus flower on which Lord Brahma is born. In the creation of the material world, the Supreme Lord undoubtedly assumes a gigantic body, and living entities also get bodies, big or small, according to necessity. For example, an elephant gets a gigantic body according to its needs, and so also an ant gets its body according to its needs. Similarly, if the personality of Godhead assumes a gigantic body to accommodate the universes or the planets of a particular universe, there is no difference in the principle of assuming or accepting a particular type of body in terms of necessity. A living being and the Lord cannot be distinguished simply by the difference in the magnitude of the body. So the answer depends on the specific significance of the body of the Lord as distinguished from the body of the common living being. Swaminiti Namine Namacharya Padyanita Kriyapadayane Gorakata Damodana Garagamatarine Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So this is a very sort of detailed verse about questions of Maharaj Parikshit when he's trying to ascertain and understand what's the difference between, because the Lord assumes different bodies, different forms, so is this living entity. So he's trying to understand scientifically what's the actual difference in assumption of the bodies. Why is it different? The Lord is assuming different forms, and also living entities assume different forms. So he's trying to understand why is it, in which way they differ. Interesting thing here, when Prabhupada mentioned, is that Maharaj Parikshit intelligently put questions before his spiritual master for scientific understanding. So these are some of the interesting words that Prabhupada mentions, that in a way we need to use our intelligence and inquire before the spiritual master to scientifically understand the process. So it's not, this sort of totally goes away from the idea that this is a sentimental process, then we are just always jolly and happy, which we should be. But there needs to be sort of a balance between our involvement on emotional level and also intellectual, when we try to understand this science and then apply it in our daily life. So practicing Krishna consciousness needs to be done both ways, involving our hearts as well as our intelligence. One without the other will not really work well. Those who are using only intelligence, they become just speculators without any taste. Those who are on too emotional level, without foundation of the science of Krishna consciousness, they also will base Krishna consciousness on a very reactive way. Then they're just going to be one day happy, one day unhappy, and they won't be able to come to the platform of Nishta, which is steady. So all of this is kind of important, that Maharaj Parikshit, although he's definitely way more qualified and intelligent than any of us here, he asked the question, what does that mean? That means that it's okay to ask questions to clarify our doubts and clear up the pathway to Krishna consciousness. So I just want to now, back to the actual meaning of the verse, I want to read to you short part of the Bhaktivedanta Thakur's Shri Chaitanya Shikshamrita. It's called The First Rainfall, and it's the fourth shower of nectar, the jiva, conditioned soul, and liberated. So this is in the context of the verse explaining Lord's universal forms. I know this is a bit of a very abstract subject, and I'm going to try to keep your attention a little bit focused, so just bear with me for a bit to set up some foundation based on the scriptures. So it says, Mahaprabhu has himself explained the following to Sanatana Goswami. Krishna is the non-dual absolute truth, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Although he is one, he maintains different personal expansions and energies for his pastimes. Krishna expands himself in many forms. Some of them are personal expansions and some are separated expansions. In that way, he performs pastimes in both the spiritual and material worlds. The spiritual worlds are the Vaikuntha planets, and the mundane universes are the Brahmanandas, gigantic material globes governed by Lord Brahma. The living entities are divided into two categories. Some are eternally liberated and others are internally conditioned. Those who are eternally liberated are always awake to Krishna consciousness, and they render transcendental loving service at the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. They are to be considered eternal associates of Krishna, and they are eternally enjoying the transcendental bliss of serving Krishna. Apart from the ever-liberated devotees, they are the conditioned souls who are continually turned away from the service of the Lord. They are perpetually conditioned in this material world and are subject to the material tribulations brought about by different bodily forms in various hellish conditions. Since they are opposed to Krishna consciousness, the conditioned souls are punished by the witch of the external energy, Maya. They are thus ready to suffer the threefold miseries brought about by the body and mind, the inimical behavior of other living entities, and natural disturbances caused by devatas. In this way, the conditioned souls become the servants of lusty desires, and when such desires are not fulfilled, they become servants of anger and continue to be kicked by material energy, Maya. Wandering and wandering throughout the universe, they may by chance get the association of a devotee, physician, whose instructions and mantras make the witch of external energy flee. The conditioned souls therefore get into touch with the devotional service of Lord Krishna, and in this way they can approach nearer and nearer to the Lord. Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, chapter 22, verses 7 to 15. So, now I'm going to just draw the parallel between Lord Krishna and his avatars, because first of all, for somebody who just reads this for the first time can think, okay, yeah, Krishna appears, Jivas living, and we appear in this world. What's the difference? The difference is as follows. Lord Krishna appears according to his own sweet free will. So he comes in different avatars. There are Purusha avatars, Yuga avatars, Lila avatars, while the conditioned living entity appears in one of the 8,400,000 species of life that we know from Srimad Bhagavatam exist in this material universe, of which 400,000 are human forms. One of the differences is obvious one, that Krishna doesn't have to, he's not subjected to any laws and like that he has to appear in a certain way in a certain time. He, out of his own sweet free will, he appears as he pleases. Contrary to the conditioned living entities who appear in being forced by material nature, by the previous karma, and Prabhupada mentions they appear out of necessity. Necessity meaning desire to enjoy, and that necessity is fulfilled by material energy, mind, intelligence, and false ego that all packed up the living entity inside the material body, so that living entity can enjoy certain way in this material world. He mentions elephant, so elephant has necessity to eat a lot, to walk about, to roll in the mud, to swim, so that sort of enjoyment for that living entity is provided by the body of the elephant, while in some cases living entity can get body of an ant, and the necessity of that soul is fulfilled by the tiny body of an ant. Krishna can also appear, he is the bigger than the biggest, as Karanodakashaya Vishnu. Sankarshan, the expansion of Krishna, comes as Lord Karanodakashaya Vishnu. And then that's the beginning of the material. I mean, he lies down on the Karana ocean, and from the pores of his skin, we got a picture there behind. You can see from the pores of Karanodakashaya Vishnu, innumerable universes appear. I find it difficult. I was thinking, how am I going to... It's so hard to even imagine this, isn't it? Can you imagine from the pores of the skin? If you look at your skin, the tiny little pores, from each pore of the Lord, the complete package of the universe appears. And he doesn't even have to do anything. It's just by his... by his mystical power or whatever. I don't know what Krishna does to make it happen, but it just happens. But he's definitely not working hard. He's lying down in yoga nidra, Karanodakashaya Vishnu, and that nidra is not sleep like of this material world. That nidra is transcendental pastime for the Lord when he comes about to present this material world to us. So it's actually mind-blowing if you really think about it. It's like how it all works, and while he exhales, those universes appear, and when he inhales, everything disappears and goes back. So in one breath of Karanodakashaya Vishnu, we exist in like one probably millisecond of that breath. Our existence of this point of time, if we apply time to that event, we are like, I don't know, somewhere in the middle maybe, who knows? But it's so amazing how, with all of that, now we're coming to the motive of the jivas, with all of that, we still believe, we still have that narrative for ourselves that we are so amazing, that we are like little gods. It's like, I'm a little god. I mean, all that comes from our pores are little hairs and like, you know, like a sweat and nothing nice really. So the motive why the jivas come to this to existence and why they appear in the different bodies is selfish motive, because there is desire to enjoy, and due to that desire we are provided by material nature the vehicle that we can use to fulfill those desires. We can't, if we don't have this material body, we can't eat, drink, taste, enjoy different facilities of this material world. At the same time, if you draw parallel to Lord Krishna, the reason why he appears and why he manifests as Karanodakashayi Vishnu, because further down, his next manifestation is Garbhodakashayi Vishnu. So Garbhodakashayi Vishnu is lying on the Garbha ocean, and then from the navel of his body, the giant stem of lotus appears, the lotus flower. Now again, I was trying to imagine, but I think that's beyond my imagination even. Because in the stem of that lotus, all the material for the buildup of all the universe, all the karma, all the planets of this universe, I'm not talking, we are focusing, Garbhodakashayi Vishnu starts creating specific universe, and on the top is Lord Brahma. That Lord Brahma comes on the top of that lotus flower, and that giant lotus, it's in the darkness. So when Lord Brahma appears, he doesn't know what to do. I mean, does that sound familiar? Born in the ignorance, born in the darkness. Who am I? What am I supposed to do? So Lord Brahma is our sort of, you can say, he's the first person in this universe who have taken path to self-realization, right? Because when he appeared, he didn't know who he was. And I forgot to say, the reason why Lord comes to take different forms is because out of, like parallel to our desires, we are selfish, we want to enjoy, but the Lord wants to give. He wants to give. He wants to reconnect us. He wants to give us opportunity to reconnect with our true nature and reestablish our original relationship with him. So his motive for doing all of that is to give. Our motive for coming to this world, every living entity, is to take. So that's kind of another differentiation between these two, because Maharaj Parikshit was asking that question, what's the difference? Why? How to understand that? So apart from being transcendental, Satchitananda, the material body is temporary. So the second one is taking, and the other one is giving. Okay? So when Lord Brahma appeared in this gigantic lotus and not knowing what to do, first thing he was trying to figure it out by himself. I don't know how many of you came to that part of Bhagavatam. But he tried to figure it out by himself. So he looked, it was pitch dark, so he sort of could feel there is something. So he went down the lotus stem. Down. I don't know if there was an elevator or something, but somehow or other, again, hard to imagine, how to picture that. How did he do it? I don't know, but let's say, it says he did it, so he must have done it. So he's gone all the way down and nada, zero, nothing happened. He was like, okay, go back. So that's us. We are trying to figure it out. So he could have gone up and down that stem forever. Like, what most of us do in this material world, we are trying to figure it out, or not. Or just like, live, there is one life, live, die, whatever I enjoy in the meantime. So there is different versions of how living entity enjoys this world. But let's go back to Lord Brahma. So he was like stuck. Okay, what do I do now? Having 4 heads and amazing intelligence, Lord Brahma could not figure out who he was and what was his purpose. Now, what to speak of us? We got 1 head. I haven't seen them with 4 heads yet, but Lord Brahma, 4 heads, massive intelligence, no idea what to do. But then, using that intelligence, he felt, I don't know what to do, and he decided, I can't figure this out. He tried, so next step was, right, I give up trying, what do I do next? That moment, the voice appeared and saying, tapa, which means austerity. Lord Brahma, again, being very intelligent, he understood, okay, tapa is austerity. I need to perform the austerity in order to come to that solution to that burning question. And this is an important thing as well. Burning question, who am I, what am I supposed to do? If we don't have that eagerness right now, right here, if we come here casually, oh yeah, another day, but the question, the desire to understand our purpose, to understand our relationship with Krishna has to be a burning desire. It has to be something that makes us move in Krishna consciousness. And when we come to that point of like, I don't care how, I need to understand this, I want to become Krishna conscious, nothing else matters. At that point, Lord Brahma got the tapa sound as a help from the Lord. Like, right, he felt sorry for him. He was like, okay, he's not getting anywhere, time for me. But what he did, he stopped thinking, I can figure it out. So he surrendered. Thirsty work, speaking Bhagavatam. So, at that point, performing austerities is something that was a price to pay to become Krishna conscious. Lord Brahma is like a pioneer in self-realization, right? The first living entity, before anybody else was manifested, his first thing to do before he could even start doing any service, start doing anything, is to understand, like, what am I supposed to do, and right, and who am I actually? Why am I here? Same with us. In this world, we are born in the darkness of ignorance, and as it mentioned, until we come to the association of devotees or people or just any jiva who can direct us towards Krishna, because some devotees came to Krishna consciousness through different means. Krishna can, as a Paramatma, Krishna can direct anybody to help us in any way. So Lord Brahma did that thing, austerity. So when we do austerities, what is our austerity? It's like we need to ask ourselves, we are here trying to achieve the topmost goal that there is in this lifetime, in this universe, in all of the universes. Are we prepared to pay the price? I mean, who is prepared to pay the price? Who wants to pay the price? Hands up. Anybody wants to pay the price? What is the price? What do you think is the price you need to pay? Anybody wants to share? Okay. Follow the Guru's, I'm going to repeat for the audio audience. Follow the Guru's instructions to the best of our ability, right? That's the one price to pay. Anybody wants to share what else you're willing to pay to get the Krishna Bhakti, to get the Prema Bhakti?
Like a full-hearted endeavor. Full-hearted endeavor.
Full-hearted endeavor. That's it. Actually, you hit this on the nail. Thank you. Full-hearted endeavor means we have to be all in. We can't be doubling. Like I'm going to be Krishna conscious for 10 minutes a day, When I come to the temple in a lovely sari, dhoti, tilak, when everybody sees me, festival time, oh my God, yeah, I've got to be there. Look at me, I'm here. I'm very humble. I'm smiling at everyone. But when we are away from the temple, when we are away, then what happens? Where does the consciousness go? It says, you are who you are when you're at home, when nobody is watching. I'm not here to tell anybody what to do, but it's an interesting thing to do for yourself. Analyze your day and ask yourself, who am I? Like Lord Brahma, who am I when nobody is watching, when I'm not being watched by devotees, Prabhupada, pictures in my house, the Guru and Krishna? What do I do when nobody is watching? And then understand that that's your starting point. That's your starting point. And it's not bad point. It's good point, because until we face the reality of where we are right now, right here, it's going to be very hard to progress. We have to base the progress on reality. Means wherever we are at, accept that. Because actually it's very liberating. When we accept who we are, with all our good, bad, and ugly, because Krishna sees us, right? Krishna takes different forms. Krishna is in the form of Paramatma. It says he's like a thumb size in the area of our heart. He's with us. He sees us. It's like, he sees us all the time. So he knows who we are. But he's waiting for us to kind of accept, okay, right, this is who I am, right? And then we start from there. Why am I putting emphasis on this? Is because to sort of change our material body, to make a progress, not to get this material birth again, there is no other way but chiseling out the bad qualities we have, but by improving, but by developing the true Vaishnava qualities as given to us by Srila Rupa Goswami. Read Nectar of Instructions, read Nectar of Devotion, everything is in there. If you wonder, how do I know where I am at? That's your gauge. Read that and see where you are at. Not for me, not for anybody, for you. Because this is very individual, very personal, very deep process. Prabhupada said everybody's flying their own plane, and that's very true. We get support on the ground, but once we are up in the air, we have to kind of be capable of holding the commands and keeping that airplane in the middle, right? There is a pathway, and very often, more often than not, I heard somebody was saying that airplane will not be strictly set on the course, but the pilot has the job to constantly bring it back. Does that sound familiar? Who feels in Krishna consciousness, sometimes we waver, and then it's kind of like, hang on, bring it back. Or everybody feels you got like a straight line, smooth sail. Who has a smooth sail here? Who is struggling and coming back to the straight line? Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Shri Radha Gokulananda ki, Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman ki, Jai Shri Shri Gaurnitai ki, Jai. So, okay, I don't want to put anybody on the spot. If anybody is happy to share, when I ask the question, just feel free to speak. So, does anyone feel it's like trying to catch the water from the sieve sometime? Who feels like that? Isn't it? But that's a good thing. That's actually one way of making progress, is being observant and understanding there is the leakage. There is the leakage. Netflix, internet, scroll, 1 hour gone. Right. But don't feel like bad or depressed about it. Instead, feel like, aha, Krishna allowed me to catch this. Because that's your responsibility as a devotee, as a person. It's your responsibility to catch those moments and bring yourself back. And literally, all your years in Krishna consciousness will be built on those moments when you be bringing it back. I just want to read something here, which is interesting. It's from Martin Luther King Jr. He says, if you can't fly, then run. If you can't run, then walk. If you can't walk, then crawl. But whatever you do, you have to keep moving forward. Does it make sense? So, you know, nothing is lost until you stop moving and you give up. So never, ever, ever give up the process, even if the most horrible thing happen in a life, because sometimes it does happen. Let's be realistic. To some devotees it happens, some horrendous trauma, some things happen. Very easy to just say, Krishna did this to me, and I'm going. Because the pain can be very, very strong catalyst to make wrong decisions as well. But also pain can be used to understand the nature of this world and the cruelty of this material world, that as a sentient living entities, as a pure souls, we're not designed to be here and absorb all that nonsense, all that pain, all that misery. It's not in our footprint, so to say. No, sorry, blueprint. Our blueprint is different. That's why we resent these things. That's why we feel, I don't want to suffer anymore. Why is Krishna making me suffer? Well, news is Krishna is not making us anything. It's our choices and our decisions we make that have a consequence. So those decisions means we are accountable for our actions, right? Whatever position we hold, whatever authority we have, whether we are parents or friends, every moment, the way how we behave, how we conduct ourselves, that's away from the temple. Are we cheating? Are we lying? Are we manipulating others? Are we doing different things to achieve what we want, born of material desire? These are things that are not conducive for spiritual life. So it's not like I'm telling anyone off. I have all of these as well. It's like, but the thing is, we need to be aware of them. Just don't focus too much on them. If you focus too much on them, you're not going to be able to get out of bed in the morning because it's so much horror. It's not nice. However, accept that, and that's when humility kicks in. Humility means seeing the reality and saying, right, I'm going to keep going. That resolve, that determination, like of Dhruva Maharaj, or Prahlad Maharaj, determination to serve, this determination to stick with Krishna, grab onto Krishna's lotus feet, no matter what, it's absolute necessity as well. Because when the trials and tribulations happen in life, and they will happen or they happen, that's our only sort of thing that's stopping us from letting go and getting swept by the material ocean. But even if that happens, the good news is, even then, Lord Krishna, now Garbhodakashaya Vishnu is there, Lord Brahma is there meditating, Lord Brahma is creating the universe. Within the universe, next Vishnu comes, which is Kshirodakashaya Vishnu on the ocean of milk. He comes inside that universe to support the devatas and help them rule this universe. Why is he there? It's to help, guide, and provide that knowledge and help for all living entities to come back to him. I mean, Krishna is everywhere. He says, sorry, I'll just go back to my thing. The verse is, Brahma Samhita 5:35. It says, Adantarasta paramanu chayantarastam. Krishna is the smallest of the smallest. He is inside every atom. So right now, apart from lovely form of the deities we have, which can see, Krishna is also within every atom. The energy of the atom comes from Krishna. The energy of the power of this body comes from the jiva, from the spirit soul, and also Paramatma is there to sort of watch everything and make sure everything functions. So Krishna is with us, Krishna is around us, Krishna is everywhere. All we need to do is reach out and say, right, here I am, please help. So again, with the going back to Lord Brahma and now figuring out, building the whole universe, Lord Brahma is position. It's position of the one of the devatas of the universe that is entrusted with creation of the universe. So he has a service to do. In that service, qualified living entities takes sort of body of Lord Brahma and takes that service. And sometimes if there is no qualified living entity, Lord himself, partially expands, and his partial expansion takes position of Lord Brahma in order to create the universe. Now he's doing that service, and we can see Lord Brahma is doing that service very diligently. And I can't remember where, but I read when Lord Brahma comes to the point of creating the material body for the living entity, he's actually very sad, because he knows by creating body made of 5 material elements, intelligence, mind, and false ego, that false ego part really means this will make this soul forget their real identity. And Lord Brahma, being kind-hearted, being a devotee of the Lord, it's like he's locking us in, and he knows there is almost no way out. So he feels sad. He feels sad doing that service, but that's his service nevertheless. In the service we do, however, is connecting with the Lord and trying to elevate ourselves on the platform of a living entity, which we are. It says, Jivara Swarupa Hoya Krishnera Nitya Das. Every spirit soul is an eternal servant of Krishna. That's our constitutional position. That's our dharma. Dharma means, there is different meanings of dharma, as we know religion, but the real dharma, in this case, Prabhupada explained that like dharma of the fire is hot. When you say fire, what immediately comes to mind is heat, right? When you say fire, you don't think, oh, there's a pleasant cooling thing, let me go in. You don't think like that, right? You feel like run, it's too hot. So dharma of the fire is to be hot, and dharma of every living entity is that we are eternal servants of the Lord. That's what makes us who we are. But now, when Lord Brahma created the coverings for the living entities in this universe, in order for the living entity to enjoy this material world, you can't enjoy something while at the same time you remember who you truly are. Right? You have sometimes when the good actors, they live as something like, there was one actor doing some movie on the island on his own. He spent months being on his own to get into that role. He forgot who he was, right? You have to forget who you are in order to kind of absorb that identity. So we have to forget our true identity in order to identify. So, we are whatever, English, American, Russians, Eastern Europeans, white, black, male, female, anything. Identities are there, but they're temporary. None of it really matters. People are obsessed with those external identities these days. It's like, it's just gone off the charts now with the false identification with the body. Like people alter their bodies in so many different ways, trying to be something that, which actually absolutely makes no sense. It's all, the moment of death, all of that is left behind. That soul is just going to go, here, there is a next body, and then he has to start process again. You can come and take darshan, just come in. Now going back to the tapasya of Lord Brahma, he was able to achieve all of that and make the universe because he performed austerities. Our austerities are to follow 4 regulative principles and chant Hare Krishna daily, minimum of 16 rounds if we are initiated or if you're trying to be initiated. Prabhupada said if you do these things, simple things, 4 regs and chant 16 rounds every day, I'll come and pick you up at the end of this life. Sounds very simple. However, it's not an easy task. It was never said it's going to be easy. So in that respect, what we've got to do? Who likes easy life here? I think I like easy life, but I realize I'm in the wrong place being as a devotee. It's never easy. But understanding these facts that we are small living entities, but our real identity is something else. Understanding that real identity, understanding that we have taken this birth out of necessity from our own desires. So don't blame Krishna, don't blame other devotees. We have tendency, right? Something goes wrong. Oh, but if only this person did this differently or this one did this. Forget all of that. It's just a distraction. If your goal is, it says Ekeha Kuru Nandana, right? For Arjuna, your attention has to be non-divided. If your attention is to achieve that relationship with Krishna, to be that devotee, to act on a level of spirit soul, you should welcome these things. Because every time something like this happens, you can say, great, another thing is chiseled away from me. Another thing gone. And that actually reflects how serious we are in Krishna consciousness. Devotee who is mature and serious in Krishna consciousness will understand that simple principle of bring it on. Purification, bring it on. Devotee tells you something, thank you, Prabhu. I'll think about it, reflect on it. Maybe they've got something right about it. Instead of, how dare you? I thought you were my friend. Don't you agree with me anymore? Don't you love me anymore? Or other one is, I'm never going to speak to this person ever again because, what do they know? I know better. I'm not interested, That devotee told me, that I'm chanting Shna Shna Ram Ram. Of course I don't. Of course I don't. And you're like, phone, recording up, record yourself, listen. So when somebody tries to help us, we are like, no. It's like, that's kind of side of insanity. In one side, we want to progress, right? And at the same time, somebody's trying to help us, sometimes even in the most kind way, and we are like, our ego is just like, no, back off. I know. But then remember Lord Brahma, trying on your own, Krishna won't come to you and say, tapa. Krishna won't come to you through any devotee and offer you support and help because you don't want it. Be careful what you wish for. You want to be alone, you might end up being alone. You want a support of devotees, Krishna will send. Everything starts with desire, and as I said in the beginning, that burning desire has to be there. If you want to progress, there is no messing about. You have to be all in, like what you said, Prabhu. Your whole heart, mind, intelligence, you have to be all in. There is no doubling, like 5 minutes I'm devotee, 5 minutes I'm doing something else. And if it happens, bring yourself back. You have to have that clear goal. Once you decide what your clear goal is, you need to go for it. No matter what, be brave, be courageous. Courage means you act even in the presence of fear. That's the courage. It's not something happens just to some of. You need to exercise that courage. Come out of that comfort zone and understand it's my false ego. It's not really me. I want to serve. And this is stopping me. So let go. And it's liberating because the moment you accept I'm just a simple nobody, life becomes so simple. You don't get offended. You don't get distracted by what people say or do or whatever. And that makes you free to focus on what actually matters. So these things in life, find devotees who can support you and help you in your journey. And don't be embarrassed if you have something not so right with you, if you're not perfect. I mean, who is? Come on, let's be realistic. It's like we can pretend in front of each other, but we can't pretend in front of Krishna, in front of Paramatma, right? Krishna knows everything. So anyhow, I'm going to stop here. And if anybody wants to ask any questions or any comments, you're more than welcome. Maybe a couple. Yes, Prabhu.
Thank you very much for this class. It's very nice to we reflect on our own position rather than others. There's two things that occurs to me, and they're both from the Bible. It says, Vengeance be mine, saith the Lord.
Sorry?
Vengeance be mine.
Oh, vengeance be mine.
Yeah, he's in charge anyway. So what are you worried about? You know, so you can let things go because it's not your business. That we don't have to worry about anything in that right. And judge ye or judge ye not. If you'll be judged in the same way. You know,
Yeah.
so any reflection on others or you've got to understand that Krishna's in charge and he's the final solution actually. It's that seeing Krishna will look after us all in his own way. Correct us, won't correct us. And this way we can live together in a harmonious way, understanding that Krishna is really looking after us, and we don't have to even criticize anybody else. You know, what's happened has happened. What will happen will happen. So it's letting Krishna into the. It says let go and let God too.
That's
isn't it?
true.
It's another one.
Let go. Yeah, let it go. There is. Sometimes correction is necessary depending on the motive as well. We can correct people if we have their best interest at heart. That's important thing. Only correct somebody if you first ask yourself, why am I doing this? Am I going to help this person? And do I have their best interest at heart? Because if you're just going to do it in a mode of passion, just to sort of chastise somebody, then don't do it. Because you're not really helping. If I make a mistake and somebody just goes, oh, you made a mistake, you silly. Okay, yeah, okay, I'm silly, but then I would ask, okay, but what should I have done? So now we're coming back to that point of intelligence. Okay, you're telling me I made a mistake. What's the right way then? Why don't you show me, teach me, help me to be a better next time? Or you can't cook. Okay, can you show me how to cook, right? So, you know, when we interact with devotees, if you want to correct somebody, give them solution and make them feel, give them solution that's relevant to them so they can take it on and make a progress. Then you're helping them like a parents help the child with the love rather than, oh, you. Because when we do that, the only reason why we do that is because we make ourselves feel better. Any more questions, comments? Yes. By example, yes. Absolutely. Practice what we preach, isn't it? Yes.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
I want to ask, so when you say letting go, is it also things that really kind of bother you and that you kind of get bewildered, not bewildered, but you're just like, well, I'm quite helpless actually in dealing with this. And then you just pray really hard, like, please, like, help. Is that letting go of that anxiety also?
Because everyone is different now. I don't know what you exactly have in mind, but I would just say, when you're having anything that's bothering you, we are very clever to say what we don't like or what bothers us, right? If I ask any of you questions, what bothers you, everybody's going to have a long list, right? Oh, I wish this is like that. But if I ask you, okay, so what do you actually want? What do you want? And then you say, actually, what do I actually want? So ask yourself that question, what do I want? And then if you say, okay, I don't want to have this anxiety, I don't want to have this burden, then instead of focusing on that itself, focus on the steps you can take practically to resolve that situation. So that's when it comes about saying emotions are good, but sometimes we have to be more rational and pragmatic and understand there is a problem, be solution orientated, focus on solution, figure it out. If you don't know how to, go to people who know how to. Like, I don't know, silly thing, for example, I don't know how to fix the car, and it's bothering me because every day, like, say, there is a problem, and I'm totally, oh, my car is not working, so my whole day is spent, oh, the car is not working, oh my God, what am I gonna do, the car is not working, But it's like, I don't know how to fix it, and they're like, there is places you can fix the car, so sometimes we get caught up in the issue itself too much, that it sort of takes us, absorbs us too much. And then again,